Time now for our weekly chat about all things out of this world. Joining me live is Brad Tucker, astrophysicist and cosmologist from ANU. Thanks for joining me, Brad.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Brad, firstly, we knew that there was water on Mars, but now there might be reason to believe there's more than first thought.
That's exactly right. We've seen evidence of water flows, rivers on Mars before. About 2 years ago, there was a bit of a sign that near the South Pole, there may have been a lake underneath, a saltwater lake. Now, that was obviously met with excitement, a bit of skepticism, and a new study went through to try and confirm this lake, and not only found that, yes, indeed, this lake exists, but there's probably 3 more saltwater lakes underneath the surface. That probably liquid water is potentially quite common underneath the surface. Now, where you find water, that obviously gets people excited about looking for the potential for hosting life.
So just how likely could it be then that there is life on Mars?
Well, the fact that there's multiple of these, this is the excitement, because if there's just one pocket of better conditions, because when you look at the surface as you're seeing now, it's pretty dry and dusty. So it's never looked like it's the greatest place to have life on it now. Maybe in the past it's a bit different. But as we're talking about now, the fact that there's multiple spots further away from the pole, that means the likelihood is obviously stronger. Where you have lots of environments, it's just that increasing chance. If you think about Australia, right? If you were to say all of Australia was like the central of Australia where it's really dry, hot, pretty rough, Mars is more extreme. The fact that we find more of these hospitable places means that when people go looking for life, there's a better chance at finding it if indeed it is there. And I think we'll get that answer in the next few years.
That's really exciting. We'll turn to the International Space Station now, where there's actually trying to hunt down an air leak at the moment. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, look, air leaks are never great in space for a number of reasons. And in this case, they've been trying to figure out the source of a leak for a number of months. And now it's not very much. It's a very small leak. It started to get bigger earlier this week. And in fact, what the astronauts did was sealed off every component, kind of like shutting doors to find out the draft. And in this component you're seeing here, this part of the space station, which is part of the Russian space station, they realized the leak was coming from there. Now, luckily, the leak isn't getting bigger. It's staying the same, because obviously if it's getting bigger, that's a big worry. But they'd still like to get it solved because it's causing extra work for the oxygen systems. You're just bleeding that oxygen out into space. And you don't want the metal or the outside to fatigue and create a bigger hole and some potential dangerous situation. So at least they found the rough module, and now the hunt begins for really a pinhole-sized leak that is quite critical.
And we understand that no astronauts are actually in any danger at the moment with the leak the size it is currently.
That's right. So far it's in a good range where they don't have to panic, and that's always what you want. But this module is where 2 of the Russian astronauts have their living quarters. So obviously it's critical to life support and things. So it's in a fairly important part of the space station. So they definitely want to nail it down. And I think what we'll see is obviously them just trying to solve this and move on, so they don't have to keep revisiting this problem in the future when it potentially may pose a risk.
Now, Brad, meanwhile, researchers have discovered a supermassive black hole. It's actually had 6 ancient galaxies trapped inside it.
Yeah, it's kind of sucking the life out of these galaxies, for lack of a better phrase. And this is kind of cool. I mean, I love a good black hole, and I especially love big black holes. This one weighs about 1 billion times the mass of our sun. But it's also
1 billion times. Holy dooly.
Yeah, this is the big thing. But it's also really young. This is the exciting thing. It's really early in the age of the universe. So it's only about 900 million years after the Big Bang. So the question is, how do you get something that big in that relatively short amount of time? And this discovery actually may be a big clue. What it appears to be happening is, as these galaxies that are kind of tangled in this black hole web, the gas that feeds to grow the galaxies and turn new stars and planets like us is feeding also the black hole. So maybe these black holes kind of form, or at least form in these kind of cosmic tangle webs, and help it to get so big and eat so much in such a short amount of time.
So this one's really big, but researchers say that this could essentially be the tip of the iceberg. There could be more hidden somewhere.
Yeah, we've been trying to pinpoint this age, and when we keep looking backwards towards the universe, we keep finding these really super massive ones that are billions of times the mass of our sun. And so obviously, if there's one that gives us a clue, they can start looking for in these different colors of light, and different techniques to see, are there others, and are there others of these kinds of spider web gas feeding networks fueling the growth of these black holes, which eventually grow throughout the universe into even bigger ones we see today.
Brad Tucker, thank you so much, as always, for everything about space this week.
Take care.